Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies.
Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur podcast. And in today's episode, I want to talk about something that I see consistently in women, in female entrepreneurs who are intelligent, capable, and genuinely committed to their businesses. And it's not lack of effort. It's not lack of ambition. It's overthinking, but not in a way that people usually talk about it. So this isn't the obvious kind where you're aware you're procrastinating and avoiding, because I'm sure all of us have experienced that at some point in our journey. It's much more subtle than that. And actually it shows up as refinement, as preparation, as just making sure this is right before I put it out there. It looks like you're being thoughtful, strategic, and obviously considering everything. And because of that, it's very, very easy to justify. But underneath that layer of justification, what's often happening is hesitation. And hesitation, when it becomes a pattern, it slows everything down. It slows down your visibility, your messaging, your decisions, and ultimately the sales in your business. So what I want to do today is to unpack this properly. Not to tell you just to take action and get on with it, because that's too simplistic, and to be honest with you, it's probably not that helpful. But I want to help you understand what overthinking is actually doing psychologically, how it's showing up in your business, and what shifts you can start making today to support you with moving forwards and growing your business. So overthinking, it rarely feels like avoidance when you're in it. It often feels like you're progressing towards your goal. You know, you're reviewing your offer, for example, or you might be writing your messaging for your content. You might even be adjusting your content that you've already written, and you're sort of questioning it and going back and forth and thinking about what you can do. You might be researching, you're learning, you're consuming, you're refining. And from the outside, it actually looks like you're deeply engaged in your business. And in many ways you are, of course you are. But there is a difference between movement and momentum. Now, movement can happen entirely in your head, but momentum actually requires decision. So what I see often in female entrepreneurs, staying in a loop of analysis where everything feels almost ready. The offer is nearly there. The messaging is close. The content just needs a little bit more clarity. And that almost becomes a holding pattern, because as long as something is not actually fully released, it is still safe to change it. So I want you to consider this. Where in your business are you still refining something that is actually ready to put out there? It might not be perfect. It might even not be complete, but it's ready. Is there an offer, for example, that you keep tweaking instead of actually putting out there and selling it? Is there some messaging that you keep rewriting instead of actually putting it out there and sharing it? Is there a piece of content that you're planning instead of actually publishing it? Because the cost of staying in analysis, it isn't just your time, right? It's data. It's missed sales. It's potentially even missed feedback that only comes from execution. And you cannot refine something in isolation indefinitely. At some point, the refinement has to happen in real time. Now, there is a deeper layer to this as well, and it's important to be really honest with ourselves about this as entrepreneurs, because over-refining often isn't about improving quality. It's actually about managing exposure. And I think the more that you refine something on your own, privately, behind closed doors, the longer you delay the moment where it is seen, it potentially might be judged, it will be responded to, or even potentially misunderstood by some of your audience. And that delay, it can feel productive, but it is often protective because you are ultimately protecting yourself from what people might say or what people might think or how people might react. Because once something is visible, as we know, you actually lose that control, don't you, over how it can be received. It's then into the hands of your community, of your audience, of the general public. So instead, I think it's so easy, isn't it, to stay in control by, staying in that kind of preparation mode. If you sit with that for a moment, it can shift how you see your behavior. So I want you to ask yourself this: are you refining this because it genuinely needs refinement, or because you're not yet comfortable with it being seen? So whatever you're working on right now, like I suggested earlier, is it an offer, a piece of messaging, a sales page? Is it a piece of content? Are you refining it because it actually needs refinement, or are you just sitting with it because you don't quite feel comfortable popping it out there yet? And that is a powerful distinction, because if the answer is the second, that you're not comfortable with it yet, then the work is no longer strategic when it comes to this. It's actually emotional. And emotional work cannot be solved with more thinking. It can't. It is solved through putting it out there, through exposure. It's solved through repetition, through allowing yourself to be seen before you feel completely ready. And we know that that's a massive, massive lesson in business. Take action before you're ready, move before you're ready. And it's exactly the same with this. When you're looking at the business that you currently have and the things that potentially you're overthinking, put it out there. Let's see, let the data tell you things. I am a massive, massive believer in data. Data is king, as they say, but it really, really is. And this is a lot of the work that I do with my clients, is we are always looking at the data. The data will tell you what you need to know. And if something doesn't work or something doesn't perform, the data will tell you that. So that's really, really important. So this is where overthinking becomes even more subtle, okay? Fear, because this is what it's about, overthinking and this fear, it rarely presents itself as fear when you're building a business. It presents itself as a little bit like strategy, because if you're saying, oh, I just need to get clearer or get some clarity on this, or I just need to refine it, or, I want to make sure it's the best that it can be. I need to map this out properly before, I go all in with it. And again, these are not wrong thoughts, but when they become repetitive, when they keep you in this kind of preparation mode rather than execution, taking action, they do start to serve a different purpose, and they become a way to basically delay risk. Because if you've got a fear, you've got a fear of rejection, a fear of judgment, a fear of it not working, you're delaying that risk. And clarity, in many cases, it's not created through thinking, it's actually created through action. Because once you test something, once you put it out there, again, you'll get the data and you'll be able to see what works and what doesn't. You understand your messaging by speaking it. When you start to put things out there to your audience and they start to engage, or they start to resonate, or they start to message you, or start to send emails back to you because of your messaging, that's the confirmation that you need. And you understand the messaging is powerful because of the feedback, because of what people say, because of how people feel, because of how people move after that. It's the same as, with offers. Say, for example, you've got a program or a membership or a course or a product, and you understand your offer by actually selling it. Because again, you will see what lands with your ideal clients and with your audience. You understand your audience by engaging with them. Because again, if we don't engage with them, if we don't have conversations with them, if we don't connect with our audience, how do we know what they really want? So if you're constantly waiting for that clarity before you act, you are placing clarity behind the very thing that actually creates it. Okay, a useful question to actually ask yourself here is, what am I waiting to feel before I move? And this is where it comes into that kind of energy, those feelings, those emotions. And is that feeling actually necessary? Or has it become a condition that you've actually created for yourself? Because many female entrepreneurs are not stuck because they lack knowledge. You don't lack knowledge. You have the knowledge, you have the business. But many of them are stuck because they have made certainty a must have before they actually take action. And certainty is rarely available at the start. As we know, we gain more certainty as we put things out there, as we test, as the data will allow us to see. So one of the most overlooked shifts when it comes to overthinking is simplification. When your business feels complicated, your decisions slow down. When your decisions slow down, your execution slows down. And when execution slows down, your results become inconsistent. So complexity creates the hesitation. And I often see in female entrepreneurs trying to solve this by adding more, adding more content and complicating that by adding more offers, adding more ideas, adding more strategies, adding different layers to their business, when what is actually needed is subtraction, believe it or not. Simplification is not about doing less for the sake of it. It's actually about creating that clarity. Again, it comes back to clarity. If your messaging feels, scattered, then what you want to do is simplify it so people really do understand it. If your offers are feeling confusing, then we want to simplify those. If your content feels a little bit diluted in a very noisy online space, simplify your focus. And the more defined something is, the easier it is to act on. So one practical exercise here is to look at your business and ask, where am I making this harder than it needs to be? Where am I adding layers that are not necessary? Where could I strip this back and actually still deliver the same value or more? Because simplicity really will help you and support you in speeding up execution. And execution, as we know, will create the results. So at its core, overthinking is a delay in decision making. And decision making is leadership. And if you have listened to any of my episodes, if you follow me on social media, you will know that everything I talk about is about becoming an iconic leader. Leadership. Leadership is one of the fundamental things that will support you in making your business a success. The women who build momentum are not the ones who never question themselves. Of course not. Of course they're going to question themselves, but they are the ones who are deciding faster, and then they refine through the action. They take the action, they decide, they take the action, and then they refine as they go, right? They do not wait for perfect clarity. They create that clarity through movement, through action, through deciding, through doing every single day. And this is the shift that will change things when it comes to overthinking, when it comes to the success of your business. So instead of asking, is this the best possible version? Ask yourself instead, is this good enough to test? Because remember, with business, loads of things are tests. Every single business is individual. And I think this is one of the key takeaways that I want everyone to get from this podcast episode, is that your business is individual. Your business strategy will not be the same as anyone else's. There's no copy and paste here. There's no one size fits all. This is about testing and then refining. But you've got to put it out there and execute it first so you can actually test it. So instead of asking yourself, what if this doesn't work? Because that is a common question that people ask. Instead, ask yourself, what will I learn if I actually execute, or if I move now, or if I actually put this out into the world, right? Because we don't want to eliminate the risk. We want to allow you the opportunity to test it and to see and to get feedback, right? There will always be a risk of putting things out there, but actually, until you do it, you won't know how successful it will be. So decisiveness does not mean recklessness, okay? It means trusting yourself enough to actually move, knowing that you will adjust if needed. And that trust compounds, because every single decision that you follow through on strengthens your identity as someone who executes, not someone who just thinks. Because we don't want to just overthink. So if you take anything away from this episode, let it be this. You are not stuck because you need more information, okay? You are likely stuck because you are waiting too long between decision and action. And that gap is where momentum will quite simply disappear. So as you move forward this week, I don't want you to overhaul your entire business. It's definitely not what this episode is about. I want you to pick up one thing you've been overthinking and move it forward. It might be to publish it. It might be to sell it. It might be to say it, whatever it is. Because your business does not grow through perfectly refined ideas. It will grow through express ones that you execute, that you publish, that you put out there. And allow your world, allow your community, allow your ideal clients to feel it, to see it, to read it, to watch it, to listen to it. And they will react to it in a way that moves them. So if this conversation resonated and you know you're ready to operate at a different level over the next few months, not just in strategy, but also in identity, then this is exactly the work that we go deeper inside Unstoppable and Iconic, the mastermind within the Iconic Era movement. And if you're not sure which space is right for you, or you simply just want to explore what stepping into this next level could look like, drop me a DM on socials with the word Iconic and let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation around how we can support you growing and scaling your business to that next level. Thank you so much for everyone that's tuned in to today's episode. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, and I will see you all again next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur Podcast with me, your host, Kayleigh Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow, and scale your dream six-figure or multi-six-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.